Morning, good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning, good afternoon. You've left space.
Hallo? Ich höre nichts.
Andreas, hi, how are you? We will give everybody just a moment.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Agnes. Hi. How are you?
Is that whiskey, Stuart? I hope that's whiskey.
Oh,
I hope it's good Scotch.
it's 7 o'clock in the morning. My whiskey day hasn't started. So we did.
This week anything goes, so it's possible.
We did crack a bottle of Glenlivet the other night.
It's never too early. I must show you this if I can find it. Oh, wrong one.
Is that Michael Samuel or is that the ghost of Sean Connery?
It's the ghost of Sean Connery, the traitor. He's a traitor. I didn't like him because he preached Scottish nationalism, but he never lived in Scotland or paid taxes. Anyway, sure, this is who it is. I don't know if you can read that upside down.
No.
Oh, Samuel.
My own brand.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can, Chris.
We can hear you.
A good description. Old Samuel.
That's perfect.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning.
Right, it's not morning for you, is it?
No,
It's just afternoon.
That's what I thought. Okay. That's what I thought.
There's Cretan not smoking a cigarette.
No. I'm smoking too. No, I'm not smoking at the office now.
Here's Andreas. Oh.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I'm glad to see you. I thought about you 2 days ago. It was not a funny night for Vienna.
No, I just, where that happened, that's just on the way home for me. And I passed there about 20 minutes before the whole circus started.
Oh my God.
So I was really, really lucky. And the guy who did that was a total idiot. Yeah, he had a semi-automatic weapon and was under brackets, of course, only able to kill 4 people. The guy was shooting everywhere on the houses, but he missed most of the people. He was just a complete idiot. Thanks heaven. Yeah. And the police needed exactly 9 minutes from the first call till they shot him.
That's great.
So that's pretty fast. But we yesterday we heard that the Slovakian police informed the Austrian police that this guy had tried to buy explosives in Slovakia half a year ago or so, and he didn't get that because he had no documents for that. That was sent to the Austrian authorities, and nobody took any measurements. So that's a really bad story. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all very glad that you're okay and your colleagues are.
Yeah.
I think it's tough emotionally whenever that happens in your home city though. So, okay. Well, I will let anyone in as they come in, but we've got a good group here. We've got a couple of new faces, and then we have a lot of our regular Europeans here, which is really nice to see too, and a couple of Americans joining us, which is nice too. So why don't we, oh, here comes Marie. Why don't we, to start with, have everyone introduce themselves, say which firm you're with and where you're located, and then we can get into the meat of the discussion. I'm not going to leave this up the whole time. In fact, what I will do is I'm just going to copy these points and I'll put them in the chat so that in fact we can see each other. So I will stop this share so that way everyone can get a better sense of who is on this call. I will start. I am Lindsay Griffiths, for those of you who don't know me, and most of you do. I'm the Executive Director of the International Lawyers Network. I'm located in South New Jersey in the US, and really happy to be here with everybody this afternoon for most of you, and then just throw it open to whoever would like to introduce themselves. But I think we should start with Pavla, who is our current ILN chair.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all and to see some new faces as well. As Lindsay said, I'm the chair of the board of directors of the ILN since April this year. And this is the first event where you can see me at least through the screen. I am a partner, one of the founding partners of a full service independent law firm called Peterka and Partners. We are headquartered in the Czech Republic, in Prague, and we have 9 offices altogether across Central and Eastern Europe. You will see my colleagues from Romania here as well. And because we are members of the ILN for Czech Republic and Romania. So over to David.
Hi, I'm David Robinson. I'm head of corporate at Flaggate in London. I've been at Flaggate for 25 years now, so I've seen a couple of ILN conferences in London, but haven't been to the overseas ones. I've taken over from Simon as our ILN rep. I had the privilege of meeting Pavla yesterday online for a good chat, and I've met a few of you at some of the breakout sessions already, so nice to meet some others of you today. I'll hand over to Andreas.
Yeah, you heard of me a little bit. We are situated in Vienna, Austria. We are a mid-size law firm, and I'm a pretty long time member of ILN. So very happy to see a few new faces. Some of the faces I know for quite a while. Right, Michael, or Stuart, or whoever?
Michael, I'll yield to you.
Oh, well, there we go. It doesn't happen very often, so I'll take the opportunity.
Enjoy it.
My name is Michael Samuel. I am in Glasgow. I'm in my house. If you want to see the garden, you can, in Glasgow, Scotland. I'm Marie McDonald, the director's junior employee now. But I'm very glad to be here to see new friends and old. Most people know me. If anybody else wants to know anything else about me, ask somebody else. That's me. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Michael.
I'm still standing.
Looks like you're sitting.
Yeah, but I can't. Well, you don't know what's underneath me. And I've had 5 hours to have my whiskey, unlike you. Anyway, hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. Oh, well, over to who's next.
Well, I'll pick it up. I'm Stuart Gerson. I'm Stuart Gerson with Epstein, Becker and Green. I'm in Washington. I'm being heckled by Michael Samuel. I bring you greetings from the Todreses. Those of you who remember Sid and Bunny, they're doing fine. Pam spoke with them yesterday. And David, we spoke with Simon Eakins yesterday. He and the sheep are doing very well. My distinction is I'm the last founding member of the ILN that's still practicing. I was one of the 6 people that got together at the Carlton Towers in London 30-something years ago, and we've been going ever since. So I know most of you. It's good to see you all, and good to meet the new people for me anyway.
And anybody else can just jump in there, and we'll go around and introduce.
Hello, I'm Cosmina Aron. I'm Pavla's colleague from Romania. I'm the director of Bucharest office of Peterca Partners. Nice to see you, all of you, the new ones and the old faces, and good to have you here, even only online.
Shall we go random?
I'm Kriton Metaxopoulos from Athens, Greece. Most of you already know me, so I don't think I will have to present our firm. In 2 words, it's a boutique full-service law firm in Greece. Happy to see also some new faces myself. And I'm glad to be with you, although sadly remotely.
Hello,
Shall I?
Sorry,
sorry.
You go, Martino.
Go, Martino.
Thank you,
You first.
everybody. Hello to everybody. I am one of the new faces, I presume, of the group. I am from Ferrari Pedeferri Boni in Milan. I joined the firm since 1st of September this year, and I am an employment lawyer. And well, I'm happy to meet everybody, and unfortunately only in a virtual or electronic mode. We hope to see you soon in person.
Hi, thank you. Let me intervene. I'm Pali Olszowski from Budapest. We are together with Agi, who hopefully she will intervene next, but we are not sitting together. I'm sitting in the office. And as I understand, Agi is sitting at home. So it's a COVID compliant sharing of the jobs. As the law firm, we are so-called a law firm between a boutique law firm or a full-size law firm. Our main practice area is tax and M&A, but we also have an activity in banking and finance, and also in property law. And Agi, what else would you tell about yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. Hello to those I haven't had the chance to meet yet. I'm Agnes Bejó. I'm an M&A lawyer, some transactional lawyer, and in fact, I have to apologize because this is the first real session I attend because I have a very tense transaction going on at the moment. And I'm very happy to be here and to see you all. And yeah, and that's it. And I look forward to this session.
Good morning, everybody.
Antonello, please.
Did I interrupt you? Sorry. No. Good morning, Antonello Corrado. My firm is XP Legal, Italia, the international firm. We are one of the 2 Italian firms member of ILN. Hi, Martino. Say hello to your partners, Attilio, Andrea, and Massimo. All my best to them. Good friends there. And I am in ILN. I mean, originally, together with the other partners, we were in ILN since 2002. And so I think most of you know my face, but I'm particularly glad to see new faces around, and I hope to have the opportunity to have exchange and business together soon. We are based in Rome and in Milan, and we are looking forward to meeting you in person as soon as the situation will allow it, and let we travel. Thank you, everybody.
Joe.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Mittag. I founded OMF Automittag and Partners about 12 years ago as a spin-off of a larger firm. We are located in Frankfurt, and we are a boutique law firm specializing in banking, capital markets, private equity, M&A, and dispute resolution. We are a mid-sized firm, about 10 lawyers, and I'm here together in the conference with Thomas Lesser, one of my partners, who might introduce him shortly afterwards. And yeah, very glad to see you all back. And yes, as Antonella said, hopefully in person, let's keep our fingers crossed next year. Thank you. Thomas?
Yeah, I think Joe has already said something about the firm. I'm a partner in the capital and capital markets department, a practice group, and yeah, I participated in some other conferences this week and have already had the pleasure to meet, for example, Crichton. And yeah, it's nice to see you all, and hope to see you in person next year.
George.
Yes, hi, hello everybody. I'm George Igric. I'm a partner in Bakla Igric Tintor, which is a mid-sized law firm in Serbia, but also covering some other neighboring countries. I'm also a potential member to your respective network, and I very much appreciate this opportunity to get introduced to you guys. The firm is a boutique law firm in Serbia, primarily focusing on M&A, corporate, and for indirect investments into the region, but also have some other, let's say, specifics. We also cover from real estate to dispute resolution, white-collar crimes, and some other interesting areas. And I very welcome this opportunity to at least have this introduction to this virtual means, but also hope to see you at some point in person. So thank you for this opportunity.
Great, thanks so much. Did we get everybody? Marie, did we get you?
No.
Unmute myself. Hello, lovely to see you all, and I know many of you, most of you, and lovely to meet people this week. I've met some new colleagues and friends online, which has been great. I think we had a really good conference so far, so thank you, Lindsay and Pavla, particularly for organising all of that. I am a director of ILN and also co-chair of the Labour and Employment Group. We had a great session yesterday. And my firm does pretty much full service. I'm a colleague of Michael's. That's my name of my fame is from Michael, of course, who is the great character of the ILN. And just want to say hello and lovely to see you all.
Great, thanks everybody. So as I mentioned, I put in the chat the topics that I'm suggesting for today. I know for some of you, this week we've already covered a lot of sort of what we've gone through in 2020. I don't know if we've really delved into this idea of what do we expect for 2021. I don't know if we can really talk about what we expect, since I'm sure a lot of us thought we knew what to expect for 2020, and obviously that went right out the window. But another interesting topic, I think, is the idea of the impacts of Brexit and how that may potentially affect everyone. Obviously, that will maybe be different for David and Marie and Michael versus how it will impact the rest of Europe. And then the US election, which is obviously a hot topic for everyone right now. Obviously, that's also different for the US, which we're going to discuss differently later today in the Americas meeting. But you know, we're not naive in that it will have global impacts as well. And one of the things that I've been speaking about with people is that whatever happens with the US election, even if Joe Biden is elected president, that the polarization of the United States and the fact that we are so split as a country hasn't given anyone abroad any confidence in the United States. And I think that has some impacts on cross-border business as well. So that might be an interesting topic to delve into also. So if anybody has any thoughts on any of those topics and wants to start in any of those, I'm opening up the floor to do that, and we can jump right in.
I think the hottest topic is the last one. And since we have, I think, only Stuart from United States, why don't we have him opening the discussion and give us some input.
Latest news.
Some news. We are, I think everybody are following the elections via internet and media. But what's your point, Stuart? What do you?
Well,
how do you see the development?
I mean, most of you know this, but if you don't, let me first point out that I am a conservative Republican, but I am a never Trumper. I have been an opponent of Trump from the very beginning, and I'm part of an organization which I helped found of right of center former government officials, mostly lawyers, who have opposed Trump, and I'm involved in several lawsuits that you're reading about. I'll miss this afternoon's meeting, for example, because I'll be involved in that. But as we speak, as of 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, U.S. this morning, Biden is in the lead. He is closing in on the 270 electoral votes that are required for election. We elect the president indirectly. Biden has vastly more of the popular vote than Trump has. But it looks as if it will be Biden. Trump is challenged a couple of places. There's one state, Arizona, which was called for Biden, which now is up for grabs. You know, I'm working hard to help get Biden elected, and I look forward to being able to oppose him when he is, because I think that the Trump era has not been a good one for us. I mean, Brexit is important, and Brexit will affect a great many of our relationships. But if Biden is elected, I think you can expect U.S. Policy vis-a-vis the EU and the Scandinavian countries and others in Europe to be markedly different. Trump, in a sense, is an isolationist when it comes to Europe, and he's palled up with a lot of autocrats, and that's not an unusual phenomenon. I mean, the political winds that we have in the United States are very similar to what you see in Hungary and Poland and in China, in India for sure. So there's nothing new about that. The grievances are essentially the same. The future of work is a big issue, automation, putting people out of work, hence you get resentment about immigration. These things are really common issues. But if Biden is elected, I think you can clearly expect a closer relationship with the EU countries than Trump has been inclined to do. And we'll probably, under Biden, we'd return to the Paris Accords. There'd be more cooperative efforts with respect to the environment. And another area where you could really see a change is in policy towards China. We're getting hit hard by Chinese thefts of intellectual property, of cybersecurity breaches that are state-sponsored. China's not competing according to the rules, and it's affecting Europe as much as it's affecting the United States. We've proceeded unilaterally and very schizophrenically. Trump kisses up to Xi at some point, opposes him. The trade war has been unsuccessful. It's a bad way to approach things. I could expect more cooperative efforts with our European friends, not only with regard to strengthening NATO again, which is a Russia-related issue, but in standing up against China and furnishing some impact there. Some of the underlying issues that divide America divide all countries. I mean, it's the same stuff that's behind Brexit. So we have common problems, and we'll see how it goes. The U.S. election probably won't be called until tomorrow, so you know, we're all on the edge of our seats. I'll be speaking with the Biden campaign and working on some of these lawsuits this afternoon. So I'll miss the Americas meeting, Lindsay, but it's good to see our European friends, and I expect that we'll all have plenty to do in the year and years to come.
Yeah. We should also mention that Stuart is very modest on this topic, but Stuart is former Assistant Attorney General under George Bush Sr. And was one of the only ones to be kept on under the Clinton administration when that transitioned as well. So he's very intimately involved in politics and has a very good understanding of the U.S. position politically, but also as it stands in the world.
And appears on TV.
Yes.
They don't have anything better to do.
Not accurate.
I have a question for Stuart, if I may.
Absolutely, please.
In case Biden wins and Trump is not re-elected, we see that in the States, as you mentioned before, there are Republicans pro-Trumps and Republican against Trumps. The Republican Party will become again homogeneous, or this division between pro and against Trump will affect the party itself, in the sense that a sign, a seal of Trump will remain in the part of Republicans that are in his favor and like his policy, his politics, and his approach, or he will be thrown away and the Republican Party will stay on other legs and with different policy?
Well, I could give a long lecture in political science about the history of American political parties, and I won't do that. I'll only note, though, that American political parties traditionally have not been ideological parties, different from European history, and hence our parties have put up, each party has put up conservatives and liberals, and there's no real, the party is much more a mechanism for electoral politics than it is a philosophical entity. Different, say, from, you can see the difference in American history, why our governments have been so stable, and you look at Fifth Republic France, or the post-war turnovers in Italy, where multiple parties have such rigid positions and doctrines that governments are not durable. That said, we're certainly more ideological than we have been, and our government, in a sense, is acting more like a post-war European government with its divisions than a traditional American government. Now this is just me talking, because this is hard to predict, but there's a real problem in the Democratic Party, that there's a very strong socialist left that will push Biden, who is a centrist. If that happens, and I think it will, that's going to push people in the middle to the right towards traditional Republican positions. The Republican Party will still be stuck with some of this rather large reactionary element whose grievances need to be addressed, and we'll see how that comes out. I mean, the Democratic Party in the 1950s and into the 1960s was composed of a coalition of northern liberals and labor union folks and southern segregationists. A lot of that southern tradition moved over into the Republican Party, but it shows that these things are mobile over time, and looking at parties in the U.S. doesn't really tell you which way the country is going to go. After McGovern lost, after Dukakis lost to George H.W. Bush, the Democratic Party was considered to be dead. Obviously, it's quite healthy right now. So that's what I think, Antonello, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Stuart.
Could I ask another question, if I may, Stuart? and that's in relation to Brexit. We're fervently hoping Biden will win, and we have heard, and I don't know how accurate it is, that the so-called special deal that Trump and Boris Johnson have been talking about, the trade deal, won't happen under Biden. Is it more likely to drive the UK government back to looking at the EU and the Brexit deal under Biden than otherwise under Trump, do you think?
Well, it's really hard to know, Marie. I mean, look at if our politics is crazy, look at how crazy UK politics is. I noted that Nigel Farage was campaigning with Trump the other day in the state of Arizona. What could be crazier than that? And then, of course, the Liberals have thrown out their former leader for his anti-Semitism and that's been an issue. Boris Johnson is stuck in a situation that is significantly of his own creation, and to me it's very hard to predict from here which way it's going to go. I mean, there are big arguments, as you know, over fishing rights and French agriculture and just a host of things that the United States has no control over. I mean. Especially given the way the Trump administration has acted, the European countries are necessarily acting independently, and I don't think that if you're looking at Trump and Boris Johnson, if Trump is elected, I don't think that Trump and Boris Johnson can do an effective deal without French and German and other support because of the trade and other issues that are European. If Trump is elected, I can expect stronger relationships. For example, repairing our fractured relationship with Germany, which is not what it should be. Germany will have new leadership, and Biden, I think, can go a long way towards helping things there. But Brexit is a mystery to everybody. I mean, I speak, I have a lot of these lunch groups that I've been in of friends and political associates. We're all separated by COVID, but we have Zoom calls, and several of the people on those calls are in the UK, and a couple of them were formerly in governments. But they don't know what's going on. I mean, they find the whole thing mysterious, and I think it will be up to Europe to decide whether there's a hard Brexit, a soft Brexit, or something new.
Thank you. And one of the great ironies, we think Brexit's crazy, of course, but Trump was announcing Farage on the campaign trail as the King of Europe, the guy who headed up the Brexit party. You couldn't make it up.
There must be two people in Arizona who know who Nigel Farage is and what a nut job that he is, so no doubt there were people who were ignorant enough that they believed that he was the king of something.
It's just crazy. Thank you very much.
David, when talking about Brexit, and well, I've touched on that theme a little bit yesterday during our call, but I would be really interested if you can just give us a few headlines about where you stand, where the government stands with Brexit, because there are so many things that should be installed newly as of 1st of January, basically. All the customs schemes and all the immigration schemes, of course. How far are the preparations? Is it realistic that it's going to be really valid and fully enforced as of 1st of January? Or is there any shift in time, or you don't know? Or
yes, just that. I'm sure Marie and Michael will agree. And it's just all up in the air at the moment. The government's been completely distracted by coronavirus, which it has failed to deal with in any way competently. They're going from one crisis to another, which in a way has been helpful in distracting people from looking at Brexit. They were confidently predicting a trade deal with the EU, and what has been proposed is awful, nowhere near what it needs to be. They still haven't resolved Northern Ireland, and if Biden gets in, that is going to be a problem because he's made his views very clear on Northern Ireland, which Boris Johnson was just keen to bury in the sand, frankly, and fudge in his normal manner. The government seems to be making some belated efforts to get business engaged in planning for the 1st of January. There are a lot more adverts on the radio and TV about getting export papers ready and immigration status sorted out. But it's all too little too late. And I think a lot of business has really stuck its head in the sand as well, thinking, well, the government can't sort it out, why should we? So I personally, I'm not confident at all come 1st January about the position we're going to be in. It's going to be good for the lawyers, but no one else.
David, I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
I know you have a considerable German desk in Flatgates. Did you experience any decrease in business since this Brexit topic came up?
Yeah, the M&A activity in particular really ground to a halt. From post-Brexit, it ground to a halt. Post the vote, it really declined. Then it picked up again, and it was good last year. In particular, we had very, very active German investors. It slowed a lot during the pandemic. It picked up again mid-summer. I was speaking to Alex about it yesterday, and he thinks the pipeline's pretty thin at the moment in terms of German investment, both in property sector and in the M&A space.
Okay, thank you.
And Joe, have you seen any significant rise in investment or in even activity in the financial sector in Frankfurt? Because there were, signs that a lot of financial services, or at least a part of them, will be moving out of London towards Frankfurt. And I've heard from some people who I know in the banking sector in Frankfurt that at least if you can judge from the office space that is being filled around the city, it is certainly true that there are some parts of the banking institutions that have been moving their teams to Frankfurt. So is that still truth, or was it just one shot activity just immediately post Brexit, or is it still something that is going on?
But this is still true, and it's a boost for the real estate market in Frankfurt. I think a lot of the major banks have shifted teams and business to Frankfurt. I know from Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, each of them, let's say a couple of hundreds, if not Goldman, maybe more. And so in total, I think for Frankfurt alone, it's new jobs, 3,000 to 5,000 that are really located in Frankfurt. And the other important thing is that all the major banks who are doing significant European business had to shift assets into the EU. So the regulators have access to it if something goes wrong, which means the assets are actually held here on the continent now instead of in the London capital market. And I know also the clearing business, Eurex here is the derivatives exchange. They're trying, because the clearing of swap derivatives traditionally has been cleared in London by the London Clearing House, and they are trying to get more business from London to Frankfurt and actually London traders to trade on the Frankfurt market. So it has for Frankfurt quite a huge impact, and we here expect more business for us in the financial markets.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone else seeing similar shifts of business onto the continent that would normally be in London or other parts of the UK?
Well, there's no Dublin colleagues here, or Paris, or Amsterdam, so they might.
The feedback from London is that actually far fewer businesses have moved than people expected. Initially, quite a few of the insurance companies were moving, and then I heard about Brexit regret that they moved and realised actually it really wasn't for them, and they're retrenching in London. I think a lot of the banks have actually found it quite hard to move senior staff into Europe, notwithstanding the joys of Paris and other places. The reality is that people don't want to uproot their families. It's quite a different culture from the US, where I think it's quite common to uproot and move from city to city in a lifetime, whereas certainly in the UK that is not as common. And that banks have found it's just been difficult to move. I know that Barclays have moved to Dublin, moved a lot of people to Dublin, and another bank has recently announced moves to Dublin. And a lot of people are working in Dublin, living in London, and they're commuting. They're flying out on a Monday evening and doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Dublin and back here on a Friday. I expect that will continue.
Yeah. Do you think, given everything that's been happening with COVID, that there might be a rise in some type of hybrid remote working too? That companies would maybe have their headquarters in other countries, but people would live and reside in England?
I'm sure they'll try, but I know a number of the jurisdictions have said they want more than a brass plate office. Certainly Dublin want more than just a nameplate there. They want a physical presence and a meaningful presence of senior staff. So yeah, they'll try, but the authorities will look at the substance of what's going on.
Yeah, fair. How about prediction?
I think if I may just comment on that, of course, what happened with Brexit for the London financial market, it's more or less only pinpricks at the moment. But these moving of teams and creating of European hubs in various cities will have over time an impact, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that a lot of things won't happen until it actually takes place, which is very similar to the same thing with our elections. Until something actually is in place, people aren't going to make the decisions that they need to make until they see what the repercussions might be.
Yeah, I also see that from an American bank I'm working with here in Frankfurt. They have moved some employees already to Frankfurt, some teams, but I think some are still waiting. They have made they have the conditions fulfilled from the regulatory perspective to move to Frankfurt, but they are actually still working in London sometimes. And these teams, they also send some people to Dublin, some to Paris, and some are in Frankfurt then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with the COVID crisis now, there are many banks or some banks that I know who have split teams, so that only part of them are working in the office and another part at home. Sometimes they change this every week, so one team or the other is in the office. But also a bank in Zurich, they are actually working from home, all of them. There's no one in the office.
Wow.
Has this influenced the real estate market already in Austria, for example? Because we are seeing moves on our real estate market, which is obviously very small compared to the other jurisdictions. But for example, some of the major banks or big companies who have been just in the process of furnishing their new offices, they had to restructure completely the philosophy of the offices. No more large open spaces, new structure, new internal structuring of the offices. And some of them have even reduced the floorage that they are renting out if it was possible, because they see that part of their teams will still remain remote at some point. So how does it look like in Austria, for example? Is it similar or?
Here in Vienna, it's similar. The office market is definitely under pressure. big banks, insurance companies are now noticing that not every employee needs their own desk. For example, Erste Bank, you know, definitely know, they have a system that 50% of the people are at the office and 50% are at home due to COVID, and they see that lots of the people don't need a desk. A few of the auditing companies have that already. That you just have a trolley at the office, and every morning you have to look for a desk, and you just sit down somewhere if you are in the office, and in the evening you have to pack all together, and you're leaving again. So many people stay at home. This has already had influence on the rents of office space.
That's certainly having an effect in the United States. Interestingly, at least to me, I was on a conference call the other day in which there was a participant who was a designer whose firm is doing the interior design for Apple in London for 500,000 square feet. I mean, a gigantic project. There probably is no larger office design project, at least in the Western world. What he was saying is they've had to change their whole outlook, very consistent with what you were describing, Andreas, motivated by what the accounting firms did a couple of years ago. But their goal is trying to create space which will be flexible the way you described, but which will allow for the formation and continuation of relationships among the participants in the office, which is a very difficult problem to make time meaningful while people are in the office, even though they're not going to have their own individual offices. It was fascinating to hear the guy, because his project is so gigantic that it clearly is representative of what's going on.
Let me add something from Budapest market, from Budapest real estate market. It's an interesting phenomenon that we have experienced in the last couple of years, that the real estate developments are always lagging 2 or 3 years behind the actual demand. And I remember when the crisis came in 2008, then there was too much real estate space, too much office space in Budapest. And then all the constructions were stopped. And around 2012 or 2013, when the demand for real estate space were picking up, there was hardly any new office real estate. Therefore, they started the construction, started the development. By now, by 2020, there's an enormous amount of new office rental space, but now the demand will decrease. And it's interesting that probably, obviously, this will push down the prices as well. But for a couple of years now, there will be empty office locations, because it is expected that the demand for office space will decrease by something or 20% caused by the COVID situation. So most likely constructions will be stopped now, and then we will have empty office spaces all around the town for a couple of years ongoing.
But going back to Stuart, I think I'm not a believer in all-time remote working. Very important information in an office is transferred at the fridge or at the coffee machine. And if you don't provide that in your firm, then you're drying out sometime. So what you said, Stuart, is totally right, that you have to create places where people can meet in an office in a very relaxed way, because very important information is transferred there. So we won't see the total diminishing of office space. You have to meet sometime. Even in the crisis now, it is possible to work from home.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've talked to a lot of our member firms over the last couple of months, and everybody agrees with that, Andreas. I think when you're forced to work from home, those moments that would normally happen naturally at the office, you have to be more intentional about, and you are losing out on things like where you might either call a colleague into your office and just talk about a matter that you're working on that helps resolve it, or come up with a new idea. Those things are not happening as much, which is deleterious to the overall working environment. And I found it really interesting that our Asia Pacific colleagues in particular are not looking at a hybrid model at all. I know a lot of firms, I think in Europe and the US, and maybe even South America, are looking at potentially a hybrid way of working going forward. But in Asia Pacific, they're still not using paperless working to any great extent. And there's so much benefit to them to working face to face. And I think it's such a cultural thing as well that there's really no plan. And I don't know if that's true of every industry, but certainly at least for the legal industry, there's no plan for them to go to any sort of hybrid model or remote working at all.
To that, if I may, it's one thing is in particular in legal business, I think it's very important to share the knowledge, especially between the seniors and the junior members of the team, because otherwise you just cannot hand over the knowledge and the expertise that you have. And it cannot be done all the time over the phone or even through the video conferences. It just comes sometimes, as you've said, very naturally, that sometimes I just ask a colleague who is across the table or next door, and it's much quicker than to organize a call with a colleague, discuss the thing that we need, and sometimes we just need to discuss it right away and not in half a day or next day. So the fluency of the communication is, I think, in our profession still very important. And also, you know, paperless working in the legal world, I think in some countries it's probably possible, but not in all countries, or maybe not yet, because we can be almost paperless, but we are still, especially in Central Europe, and I think it's very much true even for Andreas in Austria and for many other countries, that we need the papers because the authorities require the papers. To a certain extent, you can file certain filings electronically, but to a certain extent, you just cannot, because the authorities are not yet prepared to accept them. So even now, when the courts and everything is very much slowed down, they work half the office hours than they usually do, we have to file on paper because not all the filings can be done electronically.
Right.
Pavla, can I just have a question to you? Would you require your colleagues after the COVID situation to come entirely to your office and stay in your office 5 days a week? Does it mean that you are not letting them to choose a home office, at least in a restricted manner?
Well, we have been very, very reluctant to the home office working before COVID-19, just because we knew that some of the younger members of the team would be interested in having home office or remote working schemes, but they were not so disciplined, I would say. But COVID pandemic has showed that if there is a need or you cannot do it otherwise, they can find the discipline in themselves and they can work remotely with the same efficiency as if they work from the office. But we as firm are still thinking that the major activity should take place in the offices. Not because we have rented out a lot of offices ourselves, but it's just the philosophy of the firm. We still think that the team sticks much better together if they can meet physically. And obviously we will be probably more flexible in home working, and because the people are well equipped now and everyone can really access all the documents and all the resources that we have online. But still, I think that we will prefer very much working in the office. And also because the distances that the people have to commute in any of the countries where we have offices are not so big as in other countries maybe. So it doesn't take so much time for them to get over to the office and to them to go back home. So it's not like, you know, 1 or 2 hours commuting every day. It's usually much less.
Okay. Great. We've got about 5 minutes left. I want to be mindful of everybody's time. Does anybody have any final thoughts? There's a couple of you we haven't heard from. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these topics. Crichton, did you want to add to that?
We as a firm, we are considered medium, small, maybe, size of a firm. We were panicked at the beginning how we could cope with the technicalities, functioning under such a restrictive environment. To my surprise, we did extremely well, possibly because we are much more loose in rules and restrictions than big law firms. So we made it happen. But now that we are back, tomorrow we are going to a mandatory lockdown again in Greece, as of tomorrow. I have to say that, yes, things have changed the way Pavla described them. We are much more flexible. People can do remote work, but the principle stays in normality that people have to meet. Discuss a case, but also discuss among themselves. We've been like that, a family group for many years, so we need to have this presence. But of course, we do much more remote work, and it suits very much many people. So as long as they do the work, they can work remotely, and when they have to be at the office, they will come. As I say, we are 15 people overall. It's easy. I understand that larger law firms, this is much more difficult. And I'm very happy seeing you all around again.
I know, hopefully soon in person.
Yeah.
And Georgia, I would be interested just if you can, with the remaining 2 minutes, how does it look like in Serbia? Do you have large restrictions so that you have to work remotely, or do you work from the office?
At the moment, we don't have a lockdown in place. We used to have it at the beginning of the health crisis. And then we had an outbreak in June and July. Because of that outbreak, the things were relatively quiet, I would say, from August until September. And now the virus is picking up. So we may expect to have some official lockdowns in place, although there are plenty of government regulations, limiting the movement and work and everything else. As Crichton already said, we also like a medium-sized law firm for Serbia. There are 15 people, so we are quite flexible. We can arrange our work ethics and communicating with the clients easily. But my impression is basically it depends on what kind of clients you are servicing. To some extent, in corporate world or M&A world, the things are even more efficient now because of the COVID. It's ridiculous to say it, but in fact, all the clients start using these, technical means and sources. So it's easily, you're communicating in a more efficient manner. Instead of going for a meeting which lasts for 5 hours, difficult negotiations, you can organize everything more or less in a relatively shorter period of time. That's one, I would say, positive way to look at it. Another one is also with our lawyers and people, efficiency is in some areas is increased. Of course, there are some other areas of the law, such as dispute resolution, whereas you have to meet with the client, you have to spend more time, you have to meet in the office, which is also a good thing. But we see some positive effects out of this crisis in sense of the efficiency of the work, and the clients are getting used to these means of communication, so the time is being spent more efficiently. That's at least what I see in the M&A and corporate world here regionally in Serbia. And I would also love to see your thoughts about that. Of course, larger firms might be facing more difficulties in that respect, but do you have the similar perception, or you see only the downside in not being able to be in the office and meet on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's
actually, sorry, I wanted to make the same comment when Pavla mentioned that the authorities are still not flexible, and you're having difficulties with all these, old-fashioned way of communication. Actually, we see the similar trend that Georgia just described, and there has been a positive development in the sense that if you had to sign documents abroad, then you have to go to the embassy or consulate or notary or apostille, and now there's more flexibility in Hungary, at least in corporate registration procedures, that they accept that if you just can't sign a document based on a Teams call or a Skype call. So actually we do see some upside of it. Apart from the apparent downside.
Great to hear.
Okay, great. Any closing thoughts from anybody before we wrap up?
I've got one.
Okay, Michael.
I've got one. I can't resist for Pavla to remind her that our football team, Sparta Prague, are playing Celtic in Glasgow tonight.
I know quite well, Michael, and I was thinking about you.
There, and you're not here.
Unfortunately. And it's only since yesterday that the professional sportsmen in our country are again allowed to train, because until yesterday they were forbidden to even to train because of the lockdown.
Well, that doesn't bode well.
Hopefully not.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate your time and your contributions this morning, this afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the rest of the conference, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.